This conference will now be recorded.
Thank you for joining the City of Kingston's Common Council at our finance meeting. Today is Monday, November 23rd. My name is Andrea Schott, the Council President and organizer for our virtual meetings. Before we begin, we'd like to go over a few guidelines to help us navigate the system as efficiently and respectfully as possible. We ask that members of the public and press remain muted and off camera for the length of the meeting. As organizer, I reserve the right to mute anyone who unmutes themselves. Council members and city staff will control their own mute button. Good practice would be to mute yourself if you're not speaking to avoid background noise and feedback. If a council member or staff wishes to speak, they will raise their hands. The chairperson will call on them before they speak by stating the name clearly for our audio listeners. All of our meetings are recorded. Both video and written transcriptions will be made available to the public on the city's website. Although we will not have public speaking tonight, you could sign up to speak for our next council meeting Tuesday, December 1st by emailing Elisa Tinty by 12 o'clock on that day, or you could submit written comments to emtinty@kingston-ny.gov, or by dropping them off at the drop box located outside the side door of City Hall. We also encourage you to reach out to committee chairs or your ward's representative at any time. If you have any audio issues, send a text message to the following number: 845-594-6120. That phone calls will not be answered during the meeting. Again, the number to text is 845-594-6120. As the organizer, I reserve the right to lock and pause the meeting to who has behaved inappropriately. Lastly, at tonight's meeting, we have in attendance the chair, Alderman Doug Coop, finance committee members, Alderwoman Michelle Hirsch, Alderman Rennie Scott Childress, Alderman Tony Davis, and non-voting council members, we have Alderman Jeffrey Ventura Morel, Alderman Don Tullerman, and Alderwoman Rita Worthington. City Comptroller John Toohey and City Clerk Elisa Tinty. Thank you for your patience during these difficult times, and on behalf of the Common Council, I wish you and your family good health. I now turn the floor to Alderman Doug Coop.
Okay, thank you, President Schott. This meeting, as you well know, has been preceded by a hearing of the public on the budget, which we had many speakers. And I think that will be very helpful as we go forth in our deliberations tonight. I'd like to, I'm happy to see that the Finance Committee is ably represented. Steve Chavez, I think he's probably lurking around someplace here in hyperspace. There he is. Okay, Steve Chavez is here. So the entire Finance Committee is here. Hello, Steve. And I'd also like to welcome Jeffrey and Don and Rita and Patrick for attending this. It's an important meeting, and I'm glad you're all here to share your inputs with us. Also with us, of course, is John Toohey, the controller, who has a lot to say and do about where we go forward on this tonight, because he is the one who's formulated the budget, and we've had is it 5 or 6 detailed meetings that we've had over the last 3 or 4 weeks. So the format of how we proceed, I'm going to suggest, and subject to your comments, whether this makes sense or not, John Toohey has, there are 8 committee reports that need to be approved or disapproved or modified, etc., in order to move this forward for the mayor's approval. I'm going to go in the sequence of which he has suggested. And the first one that he has suggested is that we discuss the approval of the capital projects, which you all have copies of. The total capital projects total now. There have been some adjustments, downward adjustments in wastewater treatment facilities, elimination of 3 particular procurements, but $1,324,500, and the applicable departments of police department, building department, wastewater treatment facility, DPW, and parks and recreation, again totaling $1,324,500. If this makes sense to the committee, I'd like to suggest that we go forward with John's recommendation, that we discuss and either approve or disapprove or modify those particular capital projects totaling, as I said, $1,324,500. Does anyone have any comments on the capital budgets? Not hearing anyone. Yes, Michelle Hirsch, yes.
Yes, hi, this is Alderwoman Hirsch here. I'm just considering that we're moving into another phase and lockdown of COVID, and we have just suspended building department inspections. I'm just questioning our purchasing the SUV for $38,000 at this time. I'm just thinking that this is something that can wait until next year.
The hybrid all-wheel vehicle SUV for the building department.
Correct.
Okay. Tony Davis.
Yes, Tony Davis here. Michelle, can you restate what you said? The building safety, they've suspended inspections.
Inspections, correct, as per Mayor Noble on his announcement on Friday.
Into further notice.
Correct.
All right, so, okay.
So Michelle, are you questioning the whether this is a proper procurement or not? I'm not sure what you're proposing here.
All right, well, I'm going to make a motion to take this out of the capital budget.
Would you care to elaborate on that a little bit?
Because I think that our financial situation with the state of New York is potentially more dire than we realize. And I think that we should be expressing as much caution right now until we know for sure that we are going to be getting the revenue that we hope from the state and federal government. It's not a given. Thank you.
Rennie?
Point of order, please. According
Yes.
to Robert's Rules of Order, if someone makes a motion, there cannot be any discussion until that motion gets a second. So I would hope that we could follow this process tonight where for any particular issue, if somebody wants to make a change, they initiate it by making a motion, then it has to be seconded. If there is no second, then there can be no discussion, according to Robert's Rules of Order.
I believe you are correct in that, and I thank you for that. Tony Davis?
Tony Davis here. And Rennie, just for clarification, there is allowed to have questions before it's second, like what I just did in regard to Michelle and what she was referring to. We're allowed to do that.
Once she made a motion, then somebody has to second it. You don't have to agree with it. So, seconding is just to make sure that everybody, or that at least one other person wants to engage in discussion on an issue.
Like,
that's all that is. We
no,
tend
but
to
Robert's
do it
law,
backwards.
was I able to ask her what she had stated? Because I didn't really hear her. That's why I asked her what she had stated. I'm allowed to ask that.
Yeah, if you didn't understand Tony, if you didn't understand or hear the motion, that's perfectly acceptable to.
Okay. That's why I wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Yeah. So there's a motion on the floor. So the next step would be somebody second it, and then there could be discussion. Thank you, Rennie.
I will
Rennie?
second the motion for the purpose of
Rennie,
discussion.
followed by Tony. Rennie, please repeat that.
I said I'll second the motion for the purpose of discussion.
Okay, the motion has been made and seconded to remove the item of $38,000 from the building department's request for a hybrid all-wheel vehicle SUV. Are there any comments, any other questions? In that case, yes, Michelle.
Do you want me to repeat what I said earlier? That I just feel that because of the economic climate and our not knowing what is coming down from the state and our revenue, the sales tax throughout the state is low. And we don't know precisely what federal aid we're going to be getting. And I just think that we need to be very prudent in going forward with our budget for next year and our capital plan. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Tony Davis, followed by Patrick O'Reilly.
Tony Davis here. I've just seen if John is still here. I don't see John Tui. Oh, sorry, John. John, again, the capital plans are all being bonded. Is that correct? Or
Yeah, that's correct.
already? So taking the 38,000 out, if that is done, and with, I mean, it's 30. It's not saying it's 38,000. Is any difference really in regard to bonding? Going to mess with rating or anything, or move a rating?
You know, that vehicle we pay for over 5 years. So if you want to consider that the debt service on that vehicle would be divided over 5 years, principal and interest is what we'd be paying back. You know, just to note, just to remind everyone that the purpose of that vehicle was for the commercial inspections. The new endeavor for next year. It'll be interesting to see how COVID continues to affect that.
Then Steve Shavit. Steve, followed by
Yeah.
Patrick O'Reilly.
Okay, this would be for John also. Normally, I mean, if we approve this, how long does it take before this vehicle actually gets ordered and, you know, really comes to pass? Normally.
It would depend, Steve, on whether or not it's what ends up being available on state contract or not. If it's available on state contract, we could act rather quickly. If it's not on state contract, then we'd have to bid, and that takes a little bit more time. That adds another, you know, month and a half or so to the process. So time frame, you know, if this were approved by the council in December, ordinarily, the vehicle would be ordered. You know, the procurement process could start pretty quickly. If it was available on state contract, normally the order would be in January. The receipt time, though, you know, it takes a while for delivery. So, you know, there is a lead time for these vehicles, normally of a couple months anyway. So an order in January, you know, puts the receipt of that vehicle out a couple months. If it ends up being later than that, it, you know, would be incrementally later in the year that we'd get the vehicle.
You muted, Doug.
Patrick, you had a question or a comment?
Yeah, I was going to try to find out exactly what that vehicle is going to be used for. Now, John, you're saying this is for the commercial inspections. Presently, how are they being done? Is there a vehicle that they use?
No, this is the item that was a pretty large discussion at the building department budget meeting. This is a new endeavor that the building department will be undertaking with a staff member from community development. Will be assisting in doing these commercial property inspections starting January. Presently, the inspections, to the extent they're done, were being done by the fire department. There was a revenue budgeted for next year based upon a full year of doing these inspections. Obviously, if COVID impacts those inspections, we might not see that full amount. But yeah, this vehicle was intended to be used by the individual doing those commercial property inspections.
So the fire department had this duty, and how'd they get out to their inspections? Do they have a vehicle?
They really weren't, they weren't getting it done, is my understanding. That's why it's going over to the building department. And the building department is assigning, there's an existing staff member which will be doing this work. So we didn't have to bring on new staff for this, but it is a significant revenue pickup in the building department budget.
A question from Tony Davis.
Well, comment, Patrick, the fire department.
Followed by Rainey. I may have the order mixed up here, but if I do, I apologize. Tony, go ahead.
So I was just going to make a comment, Patrick. This was done by the fire department in the past, and using their vehicles and the apparatus and going out and doing these inspections when it was possible. But as John said, and they weren't able to really do this and at this time. So that is why it was passed on, reassigned to the building safety department. And so yes, they're going to be using the vehicles as Michelle stated, and and I've been stating throughout this budget hearings, we're in an economic situation and we have to be, prudent about our money spending. And if the mayor has indicated that, these inspections are going to stop at this time to the foreseeable, I think this is something that, we have the possibility of next year of re-looking at, re-examining, and if our economic situation changes. And I don't think it always has to be at budget time. John Tui, comptroller, you can correct me if that's incorrect. That and the department's can always come in X for these type of purchases, and we could do it during the year. It doesn't always have to be just at the end of the year during the budget. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, Rennie, followed by Patrick.
Another option here is clearly we are all concerned about the effects of the coming economy with the rise in COVID. And I would hope that the mayor would not be initiating these purchases without being very aware of the state of our finances. I mean, we've been lucky for the last little while here that things have improved. So that would be a concern of mine. But what Tony Davis just mentioned, of course, there is this other possibility of holding off on a purchase such as this one, that we would have a little more control over when that purchase might be initiated.
Thank you. Patrick?
Patrick, right. John Tui, I was just wondering, the building department, how many vehicles do they have? But what I really want to know is, are they sharing vehicles down there? Is there not enough vehicles? Or is this a replacement vehicle?
This vehicle would be dedicated, well, my understanding, this vehicle would be used by the individual doing the commercial property inspections. Right now, the recommendation is not to share vehicles because of COVID. They're trying to get away from sharing vehicles. That was a recommendation that went out. So, certainly this could be discussed at a later time. I can tell you, obviously, if COVID continues to threaten our economy and our finances as we move forward into 2021, if estimates have to be adjusted as the mayor did 2020, I would presume that he would have a similar approach in 2021. It's a little early to predict that yet, but we do see where the numbers are going.
Okay, there is a motion on the, yes, Michelle. Michelle?
Hi, I just want to respond to Rennie that I don't think that the mayor is necessarily being irresponsible. I just don't think that any of us, or John Tui or the mayor, that none of us has a crystal ball. And prior to COVID, the state was in a $6 billion deficit, and now we're in a $16 billion deficit. So who knows how much further we're going to go into a deficit this winter. So I'm just saying that none of us have a crystal ball. So I think that just erring with caution is the best approach. Thank you.
Randy?
I did not mean to suggest in any way, shape, or form that the mayor is being irresponsible. I merely was saying that I believe that he would act prudently with these sorts of numbers, but we could, if we chose to, take more control, as Tony Davis pointed out, by not approving this and putting it onto our list of possibilities for further action in the coming year.
So there is a motion on the floor from Michelle, seconded, I think it was by Rennie, to remove the purchase of the hybrid all-wheel vehicle SUV, $38,000 from the building department. The motion is I saw now, and not hearing any other debate, I call for a vote on that to remove or not to remove. All in favor of removal of that item, please signify. There is two. All opposed. 1, 2, 3. So the removal of this item.
Down on
The
the people.
removal of this
Why
item
don't we don't believe Don
is
Tellerman is on this committee?
Doug, if
Column
you
again,
please vote,
Only
not Don.
please, 3 people are
Sorry,
speaking.
Don, this is just for the finance. Steve, are you, it looks like Steve is frozen.
That's right. Don Tallerman is a non-voting member. So again, let's do this again. All in favor of removal of this item from the procurement, please signify. There's 2. All opposed. I see a 2 to 2.
Steve Shabbat is frozen.
Steve Shabbat, have you voted, Steve?
He's frozen.
He's frozen. Hello, Steve.
I'm calling him right now to try and figure this out.
Okay, thank you.
While we're waiting for that, can I ask John Tui a question?
Sure.
John, I just want to make sure you sent us an email late today that that 3 items were being removed from the capital plan, and those, I want to make sure they equal $55,000. Is that right?
I believe they do, Randy. I'll have to go look. But there were 3 items from wastewater treatment facility. Yeah, yes, $55,000.
Yeah.
Thank you.
One item for 35 and 2 items for.
Steve Shabbat, are you with us?
This earlier frozen picture looked a lot better than this one.
Okay, I think Andrea is speaking with Steve. Please hold on.
Just 160 pages left to go.
All right, Steve is gonna try and call in. He did give me his vote. He is moving this from the capital plan. He should be calling in any second too, so you could wait if you're more comfortable hearing him say that.
Yeah.
There he is.
Hello, Steve.
Yeah,
Vote again, Doug.
Steve Chavez,
Frozen.
you're frozen. Andrew, did he indicate his vote?
Yeah, I said it. He voted in favor of removing it.
He is in favor of removing it. But I think we need to hear that for the record.
Told him to call in, so hopefully he'll be doing that. That's as much as I could do on my end. Steve, is that you?
Okay, that's me.
All right, Steve is
Okay,
close.
Steve, this is Chairman Doug Coop. We're voting on the motion by Alderwoman Michelle Hurst, seconded by Rennie, to remove the building department's request for a hybrid all-wheel vehicle SUV for $38,000.
Okay,
The vote, are you in favor or of this resolution to remove it or opposed to it?
Okay,
Yeah.
can you,
I'm the motion to take that out.
I'm supporting the motion to take that out.
Okay, then the motion passes 3-2 to remove this particular item. Okay, moving forward, thank you, Steve. Is there any discussion on any of the remaining items in the capital budget? In which case, the committee report would now read to request the approval of capital projects totaling $1,286,500 and authorizing the mayor to enter into contracts as required to complete such projects. Anticipated funding of projects is to come from municipal bonding. Does anyone take any exception to that? John?
Just to clarify, the total is 1,286,500.
Right, that's what I said.
Okay.
I thought I said maybe not. I don't know. I did. President Schutt?
I just asked to roll call of the vote. Say it out loud. Who voted in favor of the removing the SUV and who opposed it? For the record.
I'm sorry, Andrea, I didn't hear you.
So for the record,
That's my
that
problem,
vote,
not yours.
yeah, I'll just do it if you don't mind. So for the record, that vote with the motion was made by Alderwoman Hirsch. It was seconded by Rennie Scott Childress. In favor to remove the building department hybrid SUV was Alderwoman Hirsch, Alderman Shavit, and Alderman Davis. Opposed to that was Alderman Scott Childress, Alderman Coop.
Yes, that's good. Thank you for the clarification for the record. So the vote, unless there's any discussion, I call for a vote on the remaining resolution to approve. Yes, Tony Davis.
On this motion to approve, I'm just making a motion to approve the capital plan.
Seconded by Rennie Scott Childress. Okay, without discussion, I call for a vote. All in favor of the resolution to capital projects totaling $286,500. All in favor? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. The vote is 5-0. John, so we agree on that, John Chewy, the amount is $1,286,500, correct?
What, 1,286,500.
Okay, okay. Thank you. So just to be clear, after all this discussion, we've just eliminated the request of $38,000 from the capital plan from the building department for the SUV. I hear an echo.
Steve still mute?
Steve, can you mute your phone? There we go.
I'm gonna unmute him and he'll just have to text me, so I'll let him know. I'll take care of it.
Okay, I think it's now appropriate to move on to the second committee report, which to request the adoption of a bond ordinance totaling, again, $1,286,500
It's
to
$1 million.
finance the city's 2021 capital plan.
Doug, you just reduced that a lot.
It's $1,286,500, Doug.
That's what I said, didn't I? No,
Yeah, you said
okay.
1,000.
All right. It's a decimal point. All right. For the record, request approval of capital projects totaling $1,286,500. Now we're requesting adoption of a bond ordinance totaling $1,286,500 to finance the city's 2021 capital plan. A motion by Tony Davis and seconded by Rennie Scott Childress. Okay, all in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. The vote is 5-0. None are opposed, correct? Okay, thank you. I think we're finished with the capital plan at this point. Right, John? Right. Okay. We now move into the discussion of the mayor's recommended 2021 budget. Now, as you know, we've had 5 meetings on this where we had the various departments, where we looked over every line item for starting with the police department in combination with wastewater treatment facility. We had another meeting on the fire department. We had public works, we had recreation department, and we had general government. I think I would ask, I think the thing may make sense to go at this in the following way. We could go at major department by major department to see if there are any changes that want to be made, and then we could sum them all up and put them in this committee report, which now reads as following: hereby adopt the following changes to the mayor's recommended budget. So I would ask if, perhaps if there are any changes that may come to the police department. Rennie.
In terms of the police department, I just want to correct something. 1 or 2 of the speakers at the public forum referenced the license plate readers as police equipment. I just want to clarify that those are not in the capital plan. They're not part of the police budget. That's a separate request, and the Common Council has dealt with that at a recent Finance Committee meeting, and that we will be dealing with it as a separate standalone item at the Common Council meeting on December 1st. And in terms of the police budget in general, the as far as I know, we are following the lines laid out by the police chief, and a lot of this money is contractually required. Another bit of misinformation, someone was suggesting that we reduce the raise of the police chief. This is in fact a contractual requirement, and so we are not at liberty to renegotiate that contract. The mayor can do that at the next time when that contract comes up for negotiation. Thank you.
I believe you're correct on both points. Are there any other comments that it relates to the recommended appropriations and revenue for the police department?
Actually, Doug, one more thing.
Yes.
Some other callers demanded a reduction of the police department budget by up to 22%. And I would like to note a number of the things that they called for are in fact things that are more appropriately undertaken at the county level. As some other callers pointed out, mental health services are properly located at the county level. We've seen that the county has discussed increasing mental health emergency services. We fully support that, and I would like, of course, in the future to deal very closely with the county and develop, lots of alternative processes here. I think there's a lot of room for thinking about community involvement in policing, but I don't think at this time that it would be appropriate to reduce the police department's budget by that requested 22%. We do want to note too that there is $100,000 that the mayor suggested for contingent or put into contingency in this suggested budget for potentially following through on recommendations from the police task force that was set up at the requirement of the governor. And so we do have funds available for thinking about some innovative approaches to a number of the issues that folks were bringing up, while at the same time maintaining the budget that is in the current requested budget that the mayor sent us.
Okay, Rita.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Rita Worthington. Since Renee brought up the $100,000 budgeted in contingency to support the initial recommendations of the re-envisioning task force, I'm hoping that because we haven't seen any recommendations yet, and I know that the task force has met a couple of times. So prior to voting on that amount or those recommendations, I am hoping that those recommendations would come before the council and that there would be some public input on that as well. And as far as the police budget, I understand that some of the things that the public have been asking for as far as reduction in the budget, Rennie explained that, I just want to go on record that I do support some of those monies being reallocated toward other services, community services that will, I think, increase public safety rather than more equipment or more cars or whatever it is that the police department is asking for. So I just wanted to state that. But more importantly, I want to make sure that that $100,000 that is budgeted, that we understand what those recommendations are, and that we'll get a chance to have some say-so on that. Thank you.
Alderman Davis.
Alderman Davis here, and a couple things. And we had I'm part of the New York Governor Cuomo's. I'm part of the city's revision and policing task force, the public safety task force, the Common Council person on there, I should say. And we did have a public hearing discussion last Wednesday, I believe, in regard to this. And we had a lot of people in the community speak about some of the suggestions that are being brought up right now. So we are taking that feedback, and some core problems, if you want to say, or we'll be addressing some of those concerns. And also the Common Council will get these resolutions or recommendations, the final recommendations, and sometime probably in early 2021 because where the governor wants these recommendations by April. So the Common Council will be getting that to vote on. The recommendations that have been put forward. I just want to clarify, I just want to restate as well, I believe Rennie stated that, again, a lot of these, when you look at the budget, a lot of the salaries are from 2016. And so, and when you see the increases, it's not only the cost of living increase, you say, that all city employees get, but it's also taken into the contractual obligations that the Kingston Police Department was awarded by arbitration from 2017, 18, and 19. And so that is where you'll see those increases as well in the police budget. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any other questions, suggestions, changes to be considered for the police department? This is not a vote at this point. We're going through all the departments of the city before we put this to a vote, but I'm going at it department by department. And I think, okay, let us move to the fire department. Are there any questions, suggested changes, whatever, for the fire department? Let's go to the building department. We've already dealt with one issue on the capital plan, but on the operating budget, yes, Rennie?
In the building department, I would like to, I move that we increase the zoning code officer's hours from 17.5 to 25 hours per week.
And I will second it.
So there was a motion by Alderman Scott Childers to, again, to increase the hours for the who? The zoning
code officer, who is now Eric Kitchen.
And I will second it. I was still not putting him at full time.
This is the building department, right?
Yep.
Hold on just a moment. So I just want to get that from the budget book. This is the assistant director of, I'm on page 99 of the budget book. Is this for the, for which position is this? Director of Building Zoning or assistant director?
It's the zoning code enforcement officer.
Oh, housing code enforcement officer.
No, that's a full-time position.
Yeah.
We're talking the part-time position, Doug. It's a part-time position.
It's on 103.
103. Zoning. Department 8010.
Okay, so we're looking at page. Is this for the zoning code enforcement officer?
Yes.
Jill Gagliardi?
No.
No, it's Eric Kitchen.
Eric Kitchen is the person right now. He wouldn't be in there. He's part-time, so he would not be listed in there. He's part-time employee.
I'm sorry to belabor this, but what page are you on?
We're on 103 of the budget. 103 of the budget.
Okay, there are no personnel on page 103.
One,
Part-time
line item
employees.
112 is part-time employees. That's who we're talking about. Part-time employee.
112.
Yes. Right now, he currently has 17 and a half hours he works per week. Rennie is recommending that he be moved up to 25 hours per week, of which when we had the budget meeting for building safety, I believe John had stated that. John,
Okay, I'm with you now. This is for Eric Kitchen to increase his hours.
Correct.
Right. John Tui wants to comment. Doug, can you comment while you're?
Yeah, please, John, go ahead.
Thanks, Doug. I just want to clarify when you put the committee report through, we probably should say something along the lines of increasing the funding in the part-time line. I've calculated what that amount is, but contractually, part-time employees not supposed to have base hours over the halftime. So this would be for additional work, but his actual base schedule should be half or less of what his regular hours are. So it's a nuance, but I've calculated that what that amount is.
I'm
And
happy
it
to.
is what?
The definition of a part-time employee is an employee who's regularly scheduled for half or less of part of a full-time job.
Okay.
If they are required to work additional hours in any pay period, additional hours worked up to 25 are paid at the regular base rate. So we can include funding for up to 25 hours, but I just want to clarify that he wouldn't be a scheduled 25 hours a week every week, because we could run into contractual issues with that.
Well, I'm happy to reframe the motion in terms of the amount of money we budget.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's what we should do.
So what would that
So-
number be then?
Can you restate the motion, Rennie?
Ready?
And then Tony,
So
can you restate the motion?
As soon as we
Yeah,
get
let
the
me-
dollar figure done,
John.
the dollar figure would be an additional $10,097 in part-time pay with a total cost of $12,384.
correct. That's what you told me at the budget meeting.
Yes,
Total of what, John?
$12,384 with including some of the benefits, Social
So
Security,
we-
retirement.
Rennie, you want to restate it?
Yes, so I would like, I move that we increase the part-time salary for the zoning code enforcement officers, section 8010, line 112, to $10,097, which would give us a total of $12,384.
Okay, that's a motion by Rennie and seconded by you, Tony. Yeah. Any other questions? Michelle?
Are we authorized to increase his hours, or like, are we authorized to make operational changes?
Yeah, Tony. I'm sorry, John.
That was the purpose for my changing the wording of that. No,
Okay.
right. So, but the Common Council can provide funding for those hours if the mayor
Okay.
were to schedule them.
Okay.
Rennie?
Yeah, and I just want to point out that there are other changes that we'll be suggesting that will reduce, that will make sure that we're not increasing the tax levy. We're going to stay under the tax levy, but there's some changes that we want to make later on that would then offset this increase.
Right, understand. We have to get to the total before we look at the tax levy. Patrick?
Well, no questions at this time. Thank you.
Say again, Patrick? Okay, so the motion is from Rennie, seconded by Tony. I'll call for a vote. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. So that change passes by 5-0. And so that change affects the building department. So we have a change of plus $12,384. Okay, let's move to Public Works Department, DPW. Don Talaman.
Hi, I had sent a letter to everyone earlier today raising the issue of the pike plan canopy. Just with the notion that we should increase the budget for maintaining the structure. And just to recap, we've been talking about this. Doug has been involved, of course, and as John Schulteis and Ed Norman. And what John has figured is that it costs just over 100,000. It should be about over 100,000, 105,000 to be exact, to maintain the structure. There's deferred maintenance of at least 400,000, things that need to be fixed that we've put aside for now. And as you all know, we've been going back and forth on whether to keep the pike, keep it up, take it down, and there's lots of issues. And so what I'm suggesting is not dealing with any of the big issue of taking it down or not right now, because anything that we do in that direction would be a huge amount of money. But it is a very important structure to our city and should be maintained properly. So I'm suggesting that we allocate an additional $100,000. So it would be a $105,000 budget to maintain the structure. So I had made a suggestion in my email that we hire a second carpenter for this, but Ed Norman sent a late email saying I thought that that's what he had suggested, but he said that may not be the best way at it, a second carpenter, because it may be more of a laborer person that he needs. So rather than saying, let's take this money and hire someone, I just think we need to have a budget item for this pike plan structure that maintains it so it looks good and it doesn't fall down and hurt somebody. Right now, there are some areas of it that are so bad that having pieces of wood or something else fall on pedestrians is a real concern. And if that happened and someone were to get hurt, then we're faced with a whole nother problem and expense that we really don't want to have. So I just wanted to bring this before the Finance Committee.
Alderman Davis.
Alderman Davis here. So I was a little long-winded because I know you sent that earlier communication in regard to a new carpenter, which I found out was going to be about $96,000 with the carpenter and benefits.
Yeah.
And so now you're suggesting $100,000 going to the pike plan.
That's right. That's instead of, so I thought, again, hiring a second carpenter, I thought, Ed Norman was in favor of that. John Schulteis thought it was a good idea. Ed sent a late email today, like 5 o'clock, saying that the idea of a second carpenter may not be the best actual use because in many cases, the carpenter doesn't need a second carpenter, but maybe a laborer to help. And maybe there's not need in the city for a second carpenter in the future. So while the money is important to, as a budget item to maintain this structure, I'm not, based on Ed's input, let's not just hire another carpenter, but let's just have the money set aside so that we can deal with the structure to maintain it and keep up its appearance and its safety. That's what I'm suggesting.
My second part of that question then is, and Doug, or if you can tell, is the pike plan, where is that underneath in this budget? Is that an own separate line, the pike plan?
Yeah, it is.
It's Department 8989.
Where is this in the budget book, John?
It is on page 135.
Thank you, John.
Sure.
And John, is it correct that there's $5,000 for that budget line?
Close, 4,500.
Okay, so that 4,500 includes electricity. And electricity is about half of that.
No, it doesn't include electricity.
Yeah, 4,800.
Is electricity.
Those are both separate.
Okay. So, right, so my point is that based on the best estimate of our engineer, John, who did work on this extensively over the last months, you know, he figures that his number came in at 105,000 per year just to maintain it, not to deal with the you know, inherent problems, just to maintain the thing.
John Toohey, have you dimensioned this, and what line item would this go in? How do we handle this if we were to approve this?
If you're going just to put if you're just going to put maintenance money in, it would go into line 443. You know, personnel would be different. We'd have to spread that out, but I can run estimates on that as well.
And is the amount that Don Tolman is suggesting, is that the right amount?
Well, Don,
I hear 105,000, 105, 100,000. I'm not sure what it is. But
John's number, John had emailed us earlier this year, and his number is 105.
how much? Somebody's got to mute. How much, Don?
105, according to John Schultz.
105.
Yeah.
You agree with that, John?
I can't speak to John's estimate. I wasn't part of that conversation. I can just tell you where, if you wanted to increase that number by 105 or to 105, I could tell you how to do it.
I'm proposing increasing it to 105.
You want to increase it by $105,000?
No, I want to just meet John's number, increase it to the total of 105.
Okay, all right. Michelle?
Hi, this is Alderwoman Perch. I have notes from the March finance meeting where we were discussing maintenance for the pike plan, and I have future maintenance once the pike plan was fixed this summer was to be $25,000 to $75,000 a year. Thank you.
Michelle, just to respond to that, that's after it's fixed, but right now it's in such disrepair that it needs more to maintain it.
It was the fix that we just did. I think it was like 165.
I'll try to find John's email to us all because he had outlined, the number came from him, not me. So I'll see if I can find it right now.
Ready?
I appreciate the concern that Don is raising, but I think that, you know, we haven't looked at any documentation from the city engineer. We don't have any clear sense of what's really involved with this. I think there might be other ways to pay for that, because if we're talking about some kind of significant renovation, that would more properly be something that we would undertake via, I would think, a bond of some sort. So, you know, I mean, I just think it's something that we need to take up a little bit further down the road. And the other problem is trying to figure out where would we get $100,000 from without increasing our tax levy?
Steve Shabbat?
I agree with Rennie. This is, can you hear me?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah, I think we need some more information here about, you know, using these funds if we allocate it. This is, I don't know, it's just a little, I'm not unclear right now. You know, I mean, it's a good idea. You know, I don't have a problem, you know, with taking care of the pike plan accordingly, but I would like to see this plan for the money be a little more specific than, yeah, let's allocate some more money for it. You know, what's going to be done, you know, and when, and, you know, some kind of time frame. We haven't seen a letter from John, you know, about his estimates here. So, you know, I'm a little leery to say, yeah, let's just put this in without a lot of information.
Other questions, comments? Is there a motion? There is no motion. Then I think we will cease discussion on this particular item as it relates to the change in the budget for DPW. Don, I think we all agree that we want to make this happen. And somehow I would hope that we could work to make it happen in such a way that, I mean, I agree with Rennie to increase the tax levy without a whole lot of specifics on this. There's a little danger in that, but in total, as the second ward alderman, it's in my word. I think we need to make this happen and find a way to make it happen. I'm not sure that we want to proceed immediately to put this in as a budget item, but what you said increases the need, the pressure, as it were, to have us move forward at a later date. Those are my only comments. Okay, so we'll move from Public Works Department. Are there any, moving to Parks and Recreation, are there any changes in the budget as presented by Lindsay on the Recreation Department? None. Okay, so let's move to General Government. Rennie, followed by Michelle.
I move that we delete the newly proposed position under the grants manager and use the money apportioned to it for other purposes in the budget.
This was the grant management's position in the within Kristen's department, grant management, right? That we discussed rather extensively in finance.
And I was second.
And Tony Davis has moved to second that. Is there any other discussion? Yes, Rennie.
Yes, while we're sympathetic to the concern to have proper management, at this point, it feels like we have moved beyond our actual capacities. And so I think there's some other places in the budget where we could better use this money to actually achieve the ends discussed in that meeting. We've also already seen that before the position has even been discussed, Kristen Wilson is asking for an increase in that salary. And I think that there's also a proper way, a better way through the civil service practices of getting a position like this. Instead of starting with the budget, it should start with the proposal so that the Civil Service Department can do its due diligence to create the position, create the job description, create the job qualifications, and to set the title, and then have a firm place from which to find a suitable employee for that position. So for those reasons, I think we need to take this particular position out of the budget.
Steve Shabbat. Steve, you're frozen. Okay, until he gets unfrozen, let me come back to Tony.
Tony Davis here. And a couple things just to reiterate what Rennie stating. First, this grant management started out, and this last week started out was going to be a grade 16, and now latest communication is now going to be a grade 17. So that is now going to be even more money. I believe it was going to be estimated at about 45 to 50 something thousand dollars for that particular salary. Now that's even going to be more. And again, the other thing is I had to comment is that we're creating another management position And, and I think this money could be better utilized trying to put people that are going to actually be on the ground, if you want to say, doing it, to create another manager position within City Hall. It's not needed there at this time. So that is my comment.
Steve Shabbat?
Yeah, thanks, Steve Shabbat.
Yeah.
I have to. The other night, I listened to what they had to say, and I really am a firm believer that we place a lot of our faith in grants, and this would be an opportunity. However, I'm not. It's pretty hypothetical at this point how much it's going to bring in. I think I saw something from John today that it's not going to cover the salary. And now the salary's been bumped up. We don't know the qualifications, so yeah, I certainly am not opposed to removing this at this time.
I would make a comment that I again would strongly oppose this action as proposed by Rennie and Tony, and obviously just supported by Steve. I think we need a project manager for all the reasons that were so well articulated by Kristen Wilson in a memo to all of us today. I think it makes a great deal of sense. I think we need the position, and I think we need to upgrade the salary requirements. I think that's in the best interest of the city. It will allow us to manage projects much better. It will allow the grant writers to focus more on getting more grants. I realize that from the comments made so far that I may be in the minority on this, but I will very much oppose this particular action. Thank you. Are there any other comments? That being Michelle?
This is Alderwoman Hirsch. I just want to be on the record that, again, I'm concerned about grants that would even be available. Money is tight statewide, and grant activity is slowing down right now. Thank you.
Tony?
So again, Doug, you're stating that, but we're asking other departments as well to do maintain or do more with less. And the assessor's office, we're cutting a position from the assessor's office. We're cutting a position from the clerk's office, and Kingston Fire Department is understaffed, and police department is understaffed. And so, yes, I'm not trying to say that this department doesn't need more people, but we have a lot of departments in the city of Kingston right now who will all say that they could use more staff. And we're asking those other departments to do the same or more with the same bodies or less bodies. And I believe that the grant department can still complete their tasks that has been set and forth in front of them. And so that is why I'm recommending taking this money and maybe allocating it to some different departments. Thank you.
Ready?
I would second what Alderman Davis is saying. One of those departments, touching on also what Alderman Tollerman raised, is DPW. In 2009, DPW had 85 employees. Today, they're down to 59. That's the number that's budgeted. So that's a tremendous loss in personnel. Moreover, they're doing absolutely heroic work over there, given the tight resources, because a lot of these grants are put onto DPW to actually complete. And so the crucial thing there would be to have the actual manpower to do the work. There's no good in hiring a grants manager to manage grants that we can't actually work on. So the alternative would be, if we don't bump up or think about DPW, the alternative would be to hire outside contractors, which raises the price of things. So, I just think that we need to focus on our in-house work and try to relieve the overburdened workers that we've got now without hiring a new position in management in City Hall. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. I will just say again, I strongly disagree with Alderman, my colleagues, Scott Jolis and Davis, but not hearing any more comments, I will call for a vote to remove the position of project manager from grant management. So all in favor of removal the position from grant manager? I see 1, 2, 3, 4, and all opposed. Okay, so the vote is to remove this position from grants management. Just keeping track of the tally as we go on there, then I think from the budget standpoint, we're looking at removal of a total of, John, help me on this, $87,138. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So we've talked about
I'm sorry.
one moment, please. We've talked about two positions. One is the increase in hours for the zoning officer of $12,384. We're now talking about a removal of $87,138 as we go through the budget. Have I got that right, John?
Yes, 12,384 increase and the 87,138 decrease.
Okay. Andrea?
Yeah, just for the record, when there's a dissent vote, I just want to make sure the press and public is hearing it. So just for the record, the dissent was Alderman Coop. So Doug, if you don't mind, if you try and remember that, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, Alderman Coop opposed that move. Yes, thank you, I did. Okay, so moving on, we've talked about changes to the budget for I think that's all the department. We went police department, fire department, building, public works, recreation, and general government. So I think we've covered all the departments. So we're talking about a reduction in the budget of 12,384 minus 87,138, which is 12,384 minus
74,000.
87,138. Yeah, 74,754. Right, John?
Yes, that's the number I have.
What is that again?
74,750.
Reduction to the budget appropriations of $74,754 as a result of those two positions. There's an add of $12,384 for the zoning enforcement officer and a deletion of $87,138 for the grant manager. Rennie, followed by Andrea.
Andrea was before me.
Sorry? Oh, okay, Andrea, go ahead.
I'll yield to Rennie and Michelle first.
Sorry?
I said I'll yield the floor to Rennie and then Michelle.
Oh, okay, Rennie.
I would like to move that we take $25,000 of this amount that's now left, put it in a contingency for the potential use by the Common Council of legal representation should we need it.
Let me understand that. You take $25,000 into potential expenditures of legal representation for the Common Council if needed.
Yes.
Is there a second? Second by Steve Chavez. Discussion?
While our current Corporation Council is responsible for protecting the city in all legal matters, there do come times when there are differences and questions that arise between the executive branch and the legislative branch. It's imperative that we not put Corporation Counsel into the position of having to choose between the two branches of government. And so if we are clear here, the dilemma that we have is that Corporation Counsel serves at the pleasure of the mayor. And so it makes sense that they would then be more appropriate to working with the mayor in any particular conflict that might arise between the two branches, or not conflict, but even just a series of questions. Fortunately, for the most part, we've worked very well with the current mayor. There might come a time, however, when there was a distinct split and a difference between the political parties, say, of the Common Council and the mayor. We don't know what might happen at the next election. And so we want to take the responsible path here and develop a kind of insurance that makes it clear that in any situation in which there might be a difference of opinion or a concern that could raise ethical issues, we would like to have some money available for the Common Council to access its own legal representation for the purpose of advice in any such matter.
Other comments on this? Steve Shabbat.
Yeah, and just to be additionally clear on this, we may not have to spend the money at all. You know, we're setting aside. It's going to take us a while to come up with ground rules, how to use any of this funding. So, you know, we may not use it. You know, it's not like we're putting it in there and it's automatically going to be spent. It may carry over. So, I mean, I think it's good to have that availability. Whether we use it or not, we'll see. But I'm in favor of it. I mean, it definitely seems like a conflict to me. So, you know, I would certainly vote for it.
My position on this would be we had a communication under attorney-client privilege, so I'm really not sure to what extent that I could refer to that under that what may be a limitation. Let me finish, Randy.
Sure.
Yeah, I am opposed to this. I think it's been clearly laid out by the corporate counsel. The as stated in the city code, how these things are going to be have to vanish. So I think it would have to take more discussion. And again, I'm not sure to how strongly I can speak to this because of the nature of the letter that's been written to us. So I will just say that I understand and appreciate the motion by Rennie and seconded by Steve Shabbat. But I will vote against this. Yes, Rennie?
We're simply building on precedent. There used to be a fund exactly like this in the Common Council budget several years ago. So we're simply reinstituting something that was there before.
Other comments? Yes, Andrea?
Hi, this is, just, I brought this up last week and we had a brief conversation, and, I know I've mentioned a couple different strategies, and some of them just aren't possible, which I understand, and obviously we can't go against our charter. But, the ethics board, they have a similar thing to what Rennie is suggesting, is there's $10,000 set aside if conflict of interest. And if there isn't, then they never use that money, and it just goes back into the piggy bank. It just gives us room to have this option. Hopefully that we don't need it, but it would be as if Corp Council sees themselves as a conflict, which it can happen. At least have it. If we don't have it, then we're in trouble. And it would be great if we never had a conflict of interest and the money just goes back. But these things happen.
To no other comment, I call for a vote on this.
Doug, I had my hand up for the last 3 minutes.
Tony Davis, yes.
Thank you. All righty, so if we got information today that says it would be against our code, I believe. So if it's against our code, that the city charter, then how will we go about doing this if it's against our code? Also, if it's not against our code, then why said if the ethics board has an attorney for 10,000, why would we be setting another 15,000 in a contingency or whatever when we could just do 10,000? If hopefully we never have to use it, is what the comments I've heard. So why are we setting aside 25,000 when if the ethics board has an attorney for 10,000, why can't we just set aside 10,000? But I also want that first question. If it's already been said that that's against our code, and some research was done about how Syracuse is doing, but we were informed that is totally different than what our city charter set up as. Thank you.
As I understand our city charter, if I may, Alderman Coop, the point there is that we could not create an office, a separate office of corporation counsel that would work for us, but it would be perfectly legitimate to have money set aside in case of emergency.
Other comments? Tony?
So again, if that's the case, and I will be against it if it's going to be 25. If the ethic board can set aside 10,000 and for just in case, I would be the agreement to setting aside 10,000, but I'm not going to be in agreement setting aside 25,000.
I would be perfectly amenable to reducing the number. Just remember, we're talking lawyers.
Michelle?
I would only be in favor of this if it was something our corporation counsel felt that the money needed to be utilized in case there was a conflict of interest and that they could not represent us. Thank you.
Okay, I believe we have, I think we're ready for a vote on this. And I think what we're voting, Tony?
Tony made an amendment technically. So if Tony would frame that as an amendment to change the amount to 10,000.
Okay, I just have two thoughts to that. I just want to reiterate what Alderwoman Hirsch stated, and this would be, I want to be in favor if, and we've got to put in some kind of literature that the common council, corporation council states that there is a conflict of interest before we just decide that we're just going to go out because we didn't like the answer they gave to he or she gave us. And so, but I would be in agreement to amending and the proposal on the floor to $10,000 to be set aside in contingency and for attorney for the common council.
I second that amendment.
Patrick?
Doug, thanks for letting me speak at your meeting. Patrick O'Reilly. Yeah, the thing I'm thinking about is, hey, I think that's great. You're going to give some money for us for an attorney, and it's always nice to have that in your back pocket. The thing is, the thing I got a problem is, how are we going to determine when we need a lawyer? Is it just like Rennie says, I need a lawyer, and do we give him $10,000, or do all of us have to have a supermajority, or how would we decide when somebody actually needs a lawyer or they're just lawyer happy?
Point of order, because there's an amendment on the floor, we are only discussing the amendment, not the, we're discussing the amendment, not the original motion.
Okay, sorry.
I think as a point of order, I think Rennie is correct. Rennie, just to be clear, would you restate what we're voting on?
The amendment right now is to reduce the amount to set aside for the common council in any potential disagreement or any potential case in which corporation council would be in conflict with itself, trying to represent both the common council and the mayor, both the legislative branch and the executive branch. And the amendment is to reduce the amount to $10,000. I've seconded that. So we have to vote on the amendment first, then we can vote or just discuss further the motion, the original motion.
Okay. So the vote is now on the amendment to reduce the amount in question from $25,000 to $10,000. All in favor of the amendment, please signify by raising the hand or thumb. 1, 2, 3, 4. All opposed. So the amendment passes 4-1. Now call for a vote on the motion.
Unless anybody has any other comments or there's further discussion on the original motion, which is
Okay.
now
All right.
10,000.
Additional comments? Okay, now call for a vote. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. All opposed? Okay, this motion passes so that we will remove the upshot of these two votes are $10,000 will be set aside for any potential need that the Common Council feels to engage legal counsel. I think that, so John, so far we've talked about 3 changes to the budget. Zoning enforcement officer, which adds $12,384. Removal of the grant manager, which removes $87,138. And this amendment of providing legal counsel to the Common Council, $10,000. The net result of those 3 moves result in a reduction to the budget of $64,754. I got that right?
Yes, yep, same number I have.
Okay. And we've gone through all the, yes, Michelle.
Yeah, I wanted to make a motion to move the housing department, the housing initiatives clerk, the senior account clerk, out of the budget area for housing initiatives to put back into economic development under the way it was budgeted for 2020. As we have not, the Common Council has not voted to establish the housing department per city code.
Michelle, for clarification, I'm looking at page 64 in the budget book. You're proposing that we remove the senior account clerk in housing initiative, which would amount to a total reduction of $84,829. And you want to move that where?
We're back into the economic development budget where it exists currently.
All right, hold on just a moment.
What page is that on? Economic.
60. Page 60 would be senior account clerk. Oh, I see. So you're talking about not any.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a financial impact, but just that it goes back into economic development.
You're talking about going from one budget pocket into another budget pocket.
That's
No
correct.
net change. No net change, correct?
Correct.
Any comments on this?
I made a motion, so you need a second.
It looks like Rennie's making a second.
Yes, thank you. You made a motion, right? There was a second. Okay. Thank you. Keep me on track here. That's fine. Any discussion on that? Tony,
Tony Davis here. I just wanted to understand this, because if we eliminate, if I got this correct, if we remove that position from that, then that means we take, that's, and reduces the funding by the land bank as well. If I'm correct, and John Toohey. So we're removing that. That means we're removing money from the revenue side as well in that, and housing initiative budget item 6995. Am I correct, John?
I guess I just need clarification of exactly what we're doing. I mean, if we're moving, I can tell you that in the housing initiatives budget, 50% of that position's salary and benefits are projected to be reimbursed by Kingston Community Land Bank. Are we suggesting that that isn't to happen? That we're not, the council does not wish to have this employee work for the land bank and then remove that revenue as well? Because if that's the case, then you'd have to remove that too.
So John, here's my question. Where is this, the land bank director coming in on the current 2020 budget?
Right now, it's all under 6989. It's not, right? So
No, economic development.
right. So which item are you talking about? Revenue, Michelle?
Well, both revenue and the positions.
It's all under, in the 2020 budget, it's all under Department 6989.
Right. So what I'm saying is now we have a new budget page, budget department, you know, a whole new department, and we haven't necessarily established a whole department. We voted, the council voted for a housing initiatives director, but not necessarily then positions below them.
I guess
I'm not sure of the mechanics there, Michelle, honestly, of what we've done in the past. I mean, I know we've established new departments in the past, arts and cultural affairs and health and wellness. I don't recall whether or not the council took action on those.
That's my question, is if we remove that position, do we have to remove 50% of the funding and from the revenue line, as well as the contractual services? I believe they go hand in hand from when we had a budget meeting last week or this week before. So then we would have to reduce that as well.
Well, if the employee is not working for Mike Gilliard, I don't see how they would be reimbursable by the land bank.
And then if it goes into 6989 back in there, does that funding follow that employee?
Well, once again, if that employee is now reporting to Amanda Brook, not Mike Gilliard, then I'm not sure how that funding would follow.
Could I ask, Michelle, I respect your motion, but can I ask for the rationale of this? I don't understand it.
Because we're creating another department within the city. And at the time in March, when the housing director was hired, we were told that this would be that based on the results of his job, whether or not we wanted to fund this job moving forward in 2021.
The other question I have, John, the dollars don't balance out. The salary is slightly different for this position in the housing initiative. It's different than the salary in the economic, a slight difference. It's not one for one.
I'm not sure what you're looking at, Doug. In the budget in Department 6995, the Kingston Community Land Bank reimbursement is 50% of the regular pay and benefits of the director and of that senior account clerk. If you take the totals of those two positions on page 64 and divide by 2, you'll get 84,265, which is the revenue on page 63.
Mhm. Ready?
Just a related question. So John, Michael Gilliard's salary, is that all funded by city taxpayers, or is it a grant or a combination?
It's the 50% of the total of Caitlin and Mike's salary are funded by the land bank. The excess would be funded by the city. And my understanding is 50% each.
Are there
Right,
other
and so the basic
questions?
point is if we move the senior account clerk position out of the land bank, then we would have to probably pay the full salary there as opposed to half the salary.
Correct.
Well, right. If that employee isn't doing work on the land bank, I don't see how the land bank would be able to reimburse the city.
Right.
I mean, that conversation of whether or not, there would be funding available for additional funding available would have to come from Mike Gilliard. And whether or not he, how this would affect his department would have to be directed to Mike Gilliard.
Michelle?
But isn't everyone currently under economic development now?
They are.
And all the revenue is coming in under economic development?
It is.
Okay, thank you.
Michelle, you made the motion. Tony, I
So-
recognize Tony.
So Tony Davis here. So you're seeing right now economic development, that is this private agency, the money that Mike has said from revenue of 106,570 from the LIST program, is that currently underneath economic development? Or is that money that he got private because it's a housing initiative?
That's new. That's new. So Michelle, just getting back to your, your last question, if I can, right? So then the question really would be is, if this employee, ignoring what department structurally they're under, if the intention is for them not to be working on land bank, would dictate whether or not we could anticipate a reimbursement from the land bank. If they're not going to work on housing matters and land bank matters, then we should readjust those estimates.
Yeah, my concern is just that when, we hired Mike Gillard in the spring, that we didn't realize we were creating a whole new department. So.
Okay.
Rennie?
Would it be possible, well, I'm pretty sure it's possible, would people be satisfied if we investigated this further? And I know, John, you don't like to make changes on the floor of the Common Council, but that would be one alternative, because it seems like there's a fair number of questions relating to this. So, I mean, it seems like our alternatives are to vote on it now, or get more information with the potential for making a change on the floor on December 1st.
I mean, I'm always willing to, do whatever the council needs. So sure. I mean, I'll be available to make changes on the council floor.
Tony?
Two things. I'm sitting here and I'm going back to the attorneys. What line, where is that? What department was that going into? And what was going to be that line item? We just said 10,000 for a contingency for attorney. Is it going into contingency? Is not going to be in Common Council? Is that correct, John? I just want to make sure I'm doing my paperwork here.
My understanding is the motion was to move it to contingency.
So is this going to contingency? Okay.
Right.
And all right, that's why I wanted to know. Thank you.
Sure.
I think it would help, Michelle, if you articulated the motion so we know what we're voting on.
I'm making a motion to move the land bank revenue and salaries back to economic development to 6989.
And somebody seconded this. Who was that? We had a second. Rennie seconded.
I seconded for the purpose of discussion, yes.
Yeah. Again, I find this, there are two elements in this that trouble me. One is totally confusing. I don't fully understand it, and it gets into the area of that I don't like to get into. That is micromanaging things that I think the mayor and
Well,
the
Doug,
controller
you're out of
are
order.
perfectly capable
Doug.
of. Tony, I'm speaking,
Okay,
please.
you're out of order, Doug, or Robert's law. We already have a motion on it. It can't be any more discussion, but what Rennie said, now it's time to take a vote. Right? So you're out of order. I'm just letting you know.
I don't believe so, because other people have discussing it.
And
Yeah,
you were
we
just-
could still,
Anyway,
we could
I
still
will
vote
stop.
between,
I will stop. You heard my position. I call for a vote. All in favor of Michelle's motion? All opposed? Steve, are you up or down on this? Steve, are you for the motion? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, the motion is defeated 4-1. Okay, thank you. So there's no, the going, as we go through these line item changes, there's no change as a result of the discussion we've just had for the few moments. So as I see it, John, we have a change of reduction in the budget of $64,754. Correct?
64,754, yes.
Right. And so I think unless there's, yes, Tony Davis.
All righty. So again, there was a suggestion of bringing this back on and getting some more information on this in regard to, and before Common Council or caucus, and at the next caucus of Common Council. And is that something that we could be entertained? And if Alderwoman Hirsch wants to find out some more information about that and be able to bring that up at caucus, that we can make that change, John, at caucus or Common Council, John Toohey?
Yeah, that wouldn't be a problem.
If we were going to do it at caucus, though, we would have to have a special meeting of finance, I believe, which would have to be announced in advance, right?
We already have a special finance committee.
Oh, good. Well, we'd still have
we
to
could
add.
also make an amendment on the floor of the council too.
Whichever way you guys want to do it.
But it should be discussed at caucus, just so, you know.
So
compare.
if you want to try to get some more information on that.
Yes, Imani?
I would like to move that we take some of the money that we've now got in our pot here and put that to expanding the number of hours or the budget of the engineering department to enable them to have greater access to proper project management in that department. I believe, John, you worked out some numbers there.
Yes.
What page is this on in the book? Engineering?
Engineering is on starts on page 39.
Yeah.
And I was asked to run calculations on moving the start date for the engineering tech to be the beginning of the year.
So this is Alan Aiden's old position?
This would be the vacant engineering tech, yes. which I believe has been provisionally filled. Which would then leave it would be the current engineering aid in the budget. So Greg Krupp has been provisionally appointed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then either way, it's leaving money in his budget for the replacement employee.
Right, and so what would be the dollar figure we're talking about?
I have, the number is $35,004 in the general fund and 11,668 in the sewer fund.
Say again in the sewer.
11,668.
What was the other dollar figure, John? From the general?
35,004.
And Randy, I didn't get really what are you proposing here? Because I'm looking at this and I'm trying to.
Basically, it's advancing that position, Alan Aiden's position it's not budgeted for the full year. So
Which
this
position?
Alan Aiden's position, the second in command there in engineering.
Engineering tech?
Well, under John Schulteis.
Yeah, but engineering tech?
Is that might be the specific title? I don't remember.
It would actually be for the engineering aid, because the engineering aid moved up to engineering tech. So it would go to where Greg is working now. Just if you're looking at page 40 in the budget.
And
So
just for clarification, I found out very late in the day that Greg had been appointed, so I didn't run the numbers for that. I ran the numbers for the engineering tech.
So the aid would be less money than that, correct, John?
Well, I mean, you'd have an offset because the engineering tech salary would be a little bit higher because of, I believe, but based upon where the salary scale now, you don't necessarily go to the first step. You go to the step closest to the step you're on. So I haven't run those numbers. But regardless, I think if you increase the vacant engineering tech to a 1/1 start date, you'll have adequate funds. You'll still have a full-time engineering tech in the budget, and you would still have a full-time engineering aide in the budget for the full year.
So
And
what's,
I have the figures. So that'd be the figures I gave you.
Ready, let me understand. Out of the tabulated reduction in the budget that we've made so far out of 3 motions of $64,754, you were proposing to take 2 pieces of that, 35,004 and 11,668, and putting them into 2 other places.
It's one
okay.
position, but yes, 2 lines.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Is that a motion?
Yes.
Is there a second? I will second. All right, Tony Davis will second. Okay, I'll call for a vote. All in favor? One, two, three, four. All in favor, 5-0. John, keeping a running tab, I see we now have a reduction of $18,082 in the budget appropriations. I got that right?
I'm not quite there yet, Doug.
Okay.
Writing up the committee reports, and I just got to move some things around on my spreadsheet. Doug, what is your total?
$18,082. Reduction.
$18,082, yeah. Just keep in mind that that's split between the general fund and sewer fund.
So the question is, if there are no other changes, what do we do with that? Put it into contingency or actually make a reduction in appropriations?
Well, I mean, I can tell you where you're at. So you have in the general fund, total expenditures, the reduction is 29,750. There was a change in the prorates from the recommended budget to where we're at now in the neighborhood of 1,759. So as of right now, your total budget reduction is 31,509 in terms of what the tax levy would be, or however you choose to address that. So right, your options are adjusting it through some other expenditure, through fund balance, or through the tax levy.
I think changing the tax levy is not the best way to go for that a small amount. Small relative to $43 million.
Yeah, I mean,
Can we change the drawdown of the fund balance?
yes, yeah, you could reduce the fund balance by that if you wanted if you're looking to get the tax levy to be the same as last year and the same as the mayor's budget, you would just reduce the fund balance appropriation by 31,509.
So where's the 18,000 go? Where I didn't follow.
The rest of that, Tony, is over. There's money over in the sewer fund. So the DPW or the engineering position was split general fund, sewer fund.
Yeah, and I heard that we had left $18,082.
Right. So yeah. So as of right now, the sewer rate would go up a penny with that change. Once again, it's if the council wishes to use the 31,509 to reduce the fund balance appropriation, you keep the tax levy the same as last year.
That'd be my recommendation. Ready?
And so that would be the recommended way to go as opposed to putting it in contingency?
There's pros and cons of each way. I think putting it in contingency probably makes it a little easier to access. Structurally, I like the way that reducing the fund balance appropriation looks. I would recommend reducing the fund balance appropriation. That would be my preferred method of the two.
And what's the positive of that, John?
Well, just if someone were to look at the budget, obviously, when rating agencies look at our budgets and outside entities look at our budget, the appropriation of fund balance is part of that consideration, right? So the lower the number, the more positive it looks. The downside is that if the Common Council wished to reconsider any of this down the line or wanted to make other adjustments, having less money in contingency makes it harder to access funds.
So then part of the question would be, I'm sorry, may I speak?
Yes, Randy, go ahead.
So part of the question would be, even though it's not a huge amount of money, if we've got some concerns about potential COVID-related emergencies, it might be better for us to put the money into contingency as opposed to the fund balance.
I mean, that's certainly an option. Yeah. I mean, it's not a large amount of money. It's certainly if well, we'll see what happens with the COVID expenses. Potentially, you could have reimbursements on that as well. I mean, we're expecting FEMA reimbursements this year.
I think John is saying he's more comfortable putting it into the fund balance than a contingency for reasons of,
Yeah.
right? Is that right?
I think they're both viable options, Doug. I just like the optics of lowering the appropriation of fund balance more than dumping it into contingency.
I mean, compared to the total budget, it's a small amount. I would recommend we go with what the controller is recommending. Because he's the one that's got to manage this. Tony?
My question is we're making these changes now. So then the members who are not on the finance, now they're going to weigh in at caucus, or they're going to weigh on Common Council? They're going to weigh in the caucus, and then we can make changes. I'm just trying to figure out, when do the ones who are not on finance, when do they have it? When do they get a weigh in on this?
Well, Tony, there's how many? 1, 2, 3. Don was here earlier. I mean, at committee meetings, anybody could discuss all of this. And I think that's probably why they're here. I would imagine if they had anything that they would want to, jump in, even though they can't make a motion and vote.
But what I'm saying though, at Common Council, or when we talk at caucus, and they could weigh in on that, and it could make a change, so that we could be making changes at caucus or Common Council.
But we need to put out, as a result of this meeting, we need to put out a committee report that we vote on.
Correct. Okay, so same like as any other one. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm doing a committee report for each item.
Okay.
You mean for each of these changes we talked about?
Yes.
As opposed to one committee report for changes to the recommended budget?
Right. So everything positive or
Okay.
negative declaration out of finance, I'll have a committee report for.
Are you doing that now?
I am.
Okay.
I mean,
Tony?
so again, I would go with what the comptroller is recommending. Like it says, it's positives and negatives, positives on either side, and some negatives. I mean, again, if we, as Rennie was stating, if we need to make some more changes, or we need to get the funds, they're not going to be there easily. What is the contingency right now, John?
Pull that up. The contingency is $845,000. A lion's share of which is for union contractual.
Or 18,000 could be added to that possibly. Is that what we're saying?
31,500.
31,000.
Yeah.
Oh, could. All right.
So do you want to construct these? How many committee reports are we talking about? 5?
I have, for just the budget changes, I'm on my 5th one.
Yeah,
So we just have to
okay.
make a motion here, or I think we're already on a motion.
Yeah, Tony, was that a motion that you made about putting the balance into the fund balance?
No, I was still having discussion. I mean, I was just asking what the contingency was and, you know, what's the difference that, yeah. I mean, I can make a motion that, you know, based on the comptrollers, he wants to do the fund appropriate, right, John?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have an adequate contingency right now.
That's why I wanted to know what the contingency was.
So why don't you read one by one these committee reports
Sure.
that detail these changes and we can vote on them.
We already voted.
Yeah, you were voting
Yeah.
as you went, right? So
We're still having a discussion on where we want to put this remaining money at.
correct. Yeah, and then I can refresh if you like.
Yeah. Well, Tony, do you want to make the motion? I'll be happy to second it.
And do I have to say the dollar figure, John?
Yeah, just you would want to make a motion to reduce the appropriation of fund balance to balance the 2021 budget by 31,509.
So I make that motion.
Is there a second, Rennie? I call for a vote. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0.
So should I read the motion, Andrea? Or did you?
I think it's on, so you're okay.
Okay.
John, sorry.
So are we covered with all these committee reports? Because we voted on all the others.
And just to clarify, I have 6 committee reports.
6. 1, 2.
You want me to read them?
Yes, yeah, why don't you?
I'll just quickly summarize them. One was to add 12,384 to the zoning department budget for part-time. One was to remove the vacant project manager position, 87,138 in grants management. One was to increase contingency by $10,000 for potential common council attorney. We have a motion to move the senior account clerk and a revenue reimbursement from Department 6995 to Department 6989. We have another report for changing the vacant engineering tech start date from July 1st to January 1st. That was a total of 46,672. And the final one was to reduce the appropriation of fund balance, use the balance of budget by 31,509.
I think you got it.
Doug,
Tony, yep.
I thought the one to remove the senior clerk, I thought that got passed down.
It did. I still have a committee report for it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, that being said, we can move to the committee report that says hereby adopt the following changes. No, I'm sorry. Request the approval of the city's 2021 general fund budget with total expenditures. There's no change to that.
There is.
Huh?
Yeah, there is a change in expenditures.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Because something's going into the general fund.
Right. So the total would now be 43,120,685.
43,
120,685.
685.
Correct.
And that's a reduction of some $30,000.
Yeah, 29,750.
So we could vote on that, right?
Yes. Just once again, though, keep in mind that the preceding committee reports affects this number.
Right.
So if those committee, if they change, this would change.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think we've got it. So I can call for vote on this one, right?
Yes.
So request the approval of the city's 2021 general fund budget with total $43,120,685. Total expenditures of $43,120,685. So I could ask for a motion on that? Or is it Rennie? Is there a second? Michelle? All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 5-0.
And the correct figure is 43,000?
43 million.
120,685.
Right,
Was I think you said
126.85.
Yes.
All right, because you said 43,000, so I just wanted to make sure on record that.
Did I do it again? All right. So that moves to the next committee report, which is to recommend the total amount in taxes.
I give
So
that.
that's not going to change, right?
It is going to change slightly.
Dan Baker's here.
Yeah, the tax levy won't change. There's prorates. The total in taxes would be 17,675,495.
What page is that on the book, John?
It's actually on the summary page, Tony. So on page 6, if you go to page 6 of the budget,
Yeah. Yes.
the column, the rightmost column, where it says budget amount raised by taxes,
Okay.
that number 17,673,736. That number becomes 17,675,495. The prorated taxes are 24,555, and the city tax levy stays the same at 17,659.40.
Prorated is what, 20?
For 24,555.
What was the first
24,555.
Total.
Okay, recommend the approval of a total of $17,675,495 in taxes to be raised by the city's 2021 budget. This includes a tax levy of
17,659.40.
17.
659.40.
No. That's the amount of taxes to be raised.
Now,
So this includes a tax levy of,
yeah, right. So the way my committee report reads is recommends the approval of a total of 17,675,495 in taxes to be raised by the city's 2021 budget. This amount includes a tax levy of 17,659.40 and prorated tax of 24,555.
give me the tax levy number again.
17,659.40. That's unchanged.
17.
650,940.
17,650.
940.
All right. Sorry to belabor that, but I want to be sure I got it right. Okay. And prorated 24,555. Okay. I think I understand that. Is there a motion here? Rennie makes a motion. Is there a second? Steve Shabbat, second. All in favor? 5-0. Thank you. Okay. Now we get to the base proportion ratios. There's no changes here, right? Unless someone wants, hi, Dan.
Aye.
Dan, you want to review this one with us, the controller, on behalf of the assessor?
Sure. So as we all know, the city of Kingston has a homestead class and non-homestead class in its property tax system. Currently, the homestead class makes up about 66% of the taxable portion of properties in the city. Without any adjustment, they will pay about 52.5% of the tax levy. Historically, over the past 10 years, the Common Council has adopted legal shifts in the base proportion to take some of that burden from the non-homestead class and put it back on that homestead class. Because currently, right now, the non-homestead class is 33, almost 34% of the taxable portion of the roll, and they would pay 47.5% of the tax levy. So what I submitted to you via committee report a few months ago is the title of the submission is the local adjustments to the adjusted base proportion. And that's a calculated worksheet that is the allowable shifts that the city can adopt or not adopt. Without adoption, as I said, homestead class, which makes up 66% of the taxable portion of the roll, would pay 52%. If the Common Council chooses to go with the mayor's recommendation, it would be 20% shift, and the homestead class would pay 55%, 55.18267% of the tax levy, and the non-homestead class would pay 44.81733% of the tax levy.
That's one of the biggest shifts we had, isn't it?
Last year, and John can correct me if I'm wrong, we did have a 20% shift last year for, I think it was one of the first times or the second year in a row.
And this percentage shift is, again, how much?
The recommended shift in the mayor's budget is 20%.
So it's the percentage is the same as the prior year.
Correct.
All right. Discussion or questions? I'm okay with it. Does anyone care to move on this?
And Dan, what would be so then what do we talk about the rates and percentage? What right now, what's the homestead rate per thousand, I should say, dollar figure?
I'm going to defer to John on that.
Yeah. So right now, with the changes the council's made, the homestead rate would drop 0.66% from 904 to 898. The non-homestead rate would drop 0.35%. So once again, these are all under a 1% change, and that rate would drop from 1430 to 1425. So any other base proportion that the council would select would cause a slightly larger adjustment one way or another, right? So if you, and I could give you those figures if you wanted to hear them or see them.
Because I'm just saying, because the proposal by the mayor was non-homestead was to be 1417. So why?
Well, some of that's just a change in the assessed value from the time the mayor's budget was submitted to now.
All right.
So the roll continues to change until Dan submits it over to the county.
Yeah, so Tony, we had, as the time passes on, we have transactions, we remove exemptions, we've had tax surcharge settlements, just of late that I've just added. So we have continually adjustment to those total assessed value numbers and the taxable value numbers.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, in this model, if I can help clarify, like in the overall taxes, the total tax levy stays at the 17,659,40. The homestead tax is 9,742,60. The non-homestead is 7,910,680. Each of those are only changing by 3,437. So that is the mildest change that the council can pass. Anything else, once again, creates a bit more of a swing.
Okay, does someone want to move on this? Rennie has made a motion. Is there a second? Tony Davis. All in favor? Steve, are you 5-0? Thank you.
I will send over the committee report in a few seconds.
I have it, Dan. We're good.
Can you
We've got it.
All right, can you just make sure I get those, please? Thank you.
I'll scan and email them before I leave tonight.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Dan.
Guys, good luck.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we move to the city's sewer fund budget with total expenditures of, you want to go over this, John?
Sure. So total expenditures are 5,073,019.
And this is basically a balanced, if that's the word.
Yeah, I mean, the sewer fund is balanced by the sewer rate. So we added a little bit of expenditures to the budget. The sewer rate goes up a penny. That's the next committee report.
Right. Is there a motion?
You need a motion.
Patrick, I think has a question or comment.
Questions or comments? Patrick?
Hi, Patrick. Hey, John, how you doing? John, the sewer fund,
Yes.
that comes from the amount of water comes into my house, is that correct?
The sewer rate is based upon your water usage. That's correct.
Now, the funds themselves for that, what are they supposed to be used for, John?
Sewer related activities.
So it's not to buy pickup trucks for the DPW or rakes or anything like that.
Well, depending. I mean, it can be used for trucks for public works if it's used for sewer work, but not for, not for snow removal or plowing or street maintenance. Right?
Is that money used exclusively for the sewer?
Sewer fund, you have two funds. They're dedicated funds, general fund and sewer fund. Sewer fund is to be used for sewer uses.
Is it?
So like Patrick, our capitalists, normally, if there's sewer related items, it would be marked sewer on the list. So this year, just revisiting that list, you had two sewer related items on your capital list.
Yeah, you had the dump truck from 195,000,
And a F550 dump with plow and sander.
70,000.
And that'd be paid with the sewer fund?
If Public Works has the information provided to our office is that those vehicles or that equipment would be primarily used for the sewer fund. There is going to be some equipment that goes back and forth, but it's based upon a primary use. It's typically how we've done it. Once they buy it, Patrick, then the tracking of it is really done by the department.
I see. So they may buy a pickup truck, and it'd be pretty tough for you to track that, John, that pickup truck.
I mean, if DPW had a pickup truck and then, they were using it on the street and then, the treatment plant had it and then it went back to DPW, that stuff happens.
Yeah.
But I think that's a pretty minor amount in the overall scheme of things.
Oh, yeah. So what do you think? What do you think that number is? It's like 99% of that money actually goes to the sewer plant and the sewers and fixing our sewers, or is it more a different number? I mean, is it?
I'm not sure if I'm following the question. I mean, the equipment.
I mean, our sewers in such disrepair. I'm just hoping that all that money we collect for our sewer system is going to our sewer system.
Not sure if everything that's laid out for the sewer budget we've reviewed, right? So I mean, you've looked at what's budget for sewer. I mean, the lion's share of that is the DPW sanitary sewer department and the treatment plant. I mean, those are the two biggest areas of spending in the sewer fund. So your primary use of sewer fund money goes to the treatment plant, and then there's a considerable amount of debt with our debt service, which is related to sewer infrastructure. And then clearly that's all direct sewer investment. So if you look at page, Patrick, if you look at pages 173 through 175, that's the debt service on sewer, and that's primarily infrastructure. There is some equipment.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Other questions? You can ask for a motion on this. Rennie? And a second, Steve Shabbat. All in favor? 1, 2, 5, 0. Thank you. And finally, request the approval of setting the city's 2021 sewer rate at an amount of $619 per unit, which balances the amount in the previous resolution, correct?
It's actually going to be $6.20, Doug.
$6.20?
$6.20 per unit.
Okay, make that change, $6.20 per unit. Discussion, questions? Motion, please. Rennie? Tony Davis, second. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0. That's all the committee reports, right, John?
That's all that I have.
I believe we're done.
Well, we're just getting started.
Huh?
We're just getting started. What are you talking about?
Yeah, we got 5 more hours. Okay. Been lots of time put on this, lots of meetings. Appreciate it all, particularly the non-members like you, Patrick, and Jeffrey, who have attended a lot of these. Appreciate it. Dan, thank you. John, thank you to you. And Andrea, thank you for hosting these meetings.
Michelle, welcome to your first budget.
Is there a motion? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Thank you.
Steve has something to say.
Shabbat moves to adjourn. Is there a second? Michelle Hirsch in her
Say
first
something.
budget moves to adjourn. Steve, you had something to say, or?
Yeah, actually, I just wanted to thank you, Doug. Meetings have gone very well. Your reports are right there all the time. I know I thank you a lot, but you really do a really good job with this. I appreciate it.
Yes, good job, Doug.
Shucks.
Good job. Good
Shucks.
Yeah,
job.
we appreciate it.
Good job.
Thank you all. But, hey, we all did it. Lots of discussion, good discussion. Okay,
Yeah.
I hear about
John,
all in
Dan,
favor of
also,
adjourning.
thank you guys.
Okay, the meeting is adjourned.
When's our next one?
Thank you. Don't forget, we have, prior to caucus, we do have a finance meeting this Monday night.
Monday? This coming Monday's caucus?
Monday, yeah, the 30th. I presume that meeting is at 6 o'clock.
Do we need a whole hour?
Check the meeting agendas, but I think it's 6 o'clock.
I don't have that on my agenda.
Okay.
So we got caucus this Monday, the 30th.
Preceded by a special finance meeting
And that special finance is at what? What time?
at 5:30, at 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock, special finance, and then caucus follows that at 6, whatever, 7. All right.
I'm sorry. That's right, caucus is at 7. I guess the finance meeting is at 6:30.
Double checking.
Yeah, usually we have a 30 minutes before. So let's say special finances at 6:30.
6:30. Andrew,
Caucus at 7.
am I running my meeting tomorrow? Or is at least they're going to be there?
Huh?
Elisa will be hosting the public safety meeting, and then I'll be hosting the community development meeting. Because there's gonna be a lot. So Elisa will be doing all the tech for you, Tony.
So you already sent us in some prior thing, my little speech I got to give.
Elisa will, so whoever does the tech side of the meetings has to send out the invite. So Elisa will bump it up tomorrow.
But I mean, I still got to give the speech. Welcome,
Yeah.
blah, blah. All right. All righty, I'll
If you
find
need
it.
it, just let me know. I saved it on my computer so I could send it to you.
I'm going to practice in front of the mirror tomorrow. All right. Good night.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Keep well. Don't let
Good
the
night,
mud-
everyone. Stay safe. Thank you.
This conference will now be recorded.